When?
So the Lord is going to bring judgment based on what they've done. Because they know who we are. But they won't tell us. Because if they told you, if they actually told you were the children of Israel, how much you think they'll make in these churches anymore? All the churches is empty because there's no more Sunday service. Because the Israelites follow the Sabbath. How many of you are going to be Buddhists and know that you're Israel? Or any other religion if you know you Israel? How many of you are going to say Assalamu alaikum when you realize it was the Arabs that sold you into your captivity? And it's getting paid off for you. If you know you're Israel, no more kufis, no more prayer rugs. That's money, man. That's finances. They need you to be ignorant. All right? Now, let's find out who are the sons of Ham. Somebody get me a Bible dictionary before we go to 2 Kings to start this thing. Thank you, brother. I'm going to ask the Negroes out there, because we're speaking to you right now, the so-called Negroes, and they'll never teach you this in our modern-day institutions, your schools or your churches. The NAACP say they for colored people, but yet they never told you the children of Israel. Somebody get Ham out of the Bible dictionary for me. Let's find out. And we didn't print this up. Okay? Zondervan printed this. Brother, can you please read the definition of Ham for me?
Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood.
So he was one of 8 persons to live through the flood. Ham was the youngest son of Noah. Read on.
He became the progenitor of the dark races.
He became the what?
The progenitor of the dark races.
He became the father of the dark races. So you would think that includes us, right? We're dark. But there's one footnote he put in here. What did he say after that?
Not the Negroes.
Not the what?
Not the Negroes.
So even Zondervan knows, out of the Bible dictionary, that the Negroes that were sold here in captivity is not from Ham. That's big. Then it identified the 4 families of Ham. Let's get them.
But the Egyptians.
Egyptians. They enslaved Israel. So you know that they're not Israel. The Egyptians, who are what? African. We're not from Egyptians. Read.
Ethiopians.
Ethiopians. We are not Ethiopian. Read.
Libyans.
Libyans, which are North Africans. Read.
And Canaanites.
And Canaanites, which are South Africans. The Negroes can't say they're from any of these 4 families. Just because you were in Africa does not mean you're African. The land does not determine the nation. How do we know that? If you're born on a ship in the middle of the water, are you part Pacific Ocean? The land mass does not determine the nation. The sea determines the nation. So the question you should ask, well, if I'm not African, how did I get into Africa? And how did we eventually get to America if I'm an Israelite? Those are the questions you should be asking. How did you get in Africa? You ran into Africa in 70 A.D., running from Roman persecution and slavery. That's history. You can read that in the book of Babylon and Timbuktu. Many historians know that. Okay? We stayed there for about 12 to 1300 years. Then we were sold. They didn't go to Egypt. They didn't go to Ethiopia. They didn't go to Libya. They didn't go to South Africa. They went to the Ivory Coast of West Africa. West Africa. Yes. Sierra Leone. You have Ghana. You have Nigeria. You have those that went back in Liberia. These people don't have nothing to do with these 4 families. Because the Israelites had a culture, so they did not mix their culture with the other families in so-called Africa. All right. Now you may say, well, I want to hold to Africa because of mathematics, the rich history that Africa had. We're going to show you the origin of that history. And you're going to find out that's not African origin at all. That's Israelite origin. Okay? To prove that, when the Israelites left Egypt, there was no pyramids erected after that. You think that's a coincidence? That the people leave and then there's no new pyramids? If they had the science before us, why they didn't use it after we left? Right? Now, let's get it. Let's get the Ethiopians first, one of the families of Ham. How did they get into Israel? I mean, how did they get into Israel? And the Bible speaks of these people who claim that they are Israel today. You have many Ethiopians who think they're Jews. Let's see. Let's go to 2 Kings 17, and let's start at the 17th verse. I'll wait for everyone to get it there. 2 Kings 17 and 17.
And they caused their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire, and used divination and enchantments.
So our people started dealing with evil. Started sacrificing their children and doing all types of evil. Read on.
And sold themselves to do evil in the sight of the Lord.
And they sold themselves to do evil in the sight of the Lord. Read.
To provoke him to anger. Therefore the Lord was very angry with Israel, and removed them out of his sight.
So because Israel, which were primarily the Indian tribes, you got the Puerto Ricans, the Indians, the Mexicans, these are all from the lost tribes of Israel, if you've seen some of our past teachings. They were doing much evil in the land, which was the northern kingdom. Started sacrificing their children, so the Lord did what? Read that part again. He moved them out of his what?
Therefore the Lord was very angry with Israel, and he removed them out of his sight.
The Lord's sight is on his land Israel. So he moved them out of the northern kingdom. Read.
There was none left but the tribe of Judah only.
And the only people that was left are the three tribes, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. The rest of the Indian tribes left and eventually came over here. So something happened after the Indian tribes left there. Let's see what happened after that. Read.
Also Judah kept not the commandments of the Lord, their power, but walked in the statutes of Israel which they made.
Go ahead.
And the Lord rejected all the seed of Israel, and afflicted them, and delivered them into the hand of spoilers, until he had cast them out of his sight.
Go ahead.
For he rent Israel from the house of David, and they made Jeroboam the son of Nebat king. And Jeroboam drove Israel from following the Lord, and made them sin a great sin.
Go ahead.
For the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam which he did. They departed not from them, until the Lord removed Israel out of his sight, as he had said by all his servants the prophets. So was Israel carried away out of their own land to Assyria unto this day.
So they was carried out of their land, which was the northern kingdom, to Assyria. You're going to find out that the majority of them served captivity for about 3 years, and the Lord showed them signs, and they came over here to the Americas. Those were the Indian tribes. So because the land was void of these people, Assyria put a new people in the land. Let's see. See, this is history. They're not going to teach this in your colleges and in your churches. If you want to know how people got into different parts of the land or different parts of the earth, the Bible identifies each migration. The Bible is a history book. Read.
Verse 24. And the king of